It says audio only. There it is. Audio only.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for all those who are joining us right now in this afternoon session. We are really glad. So we have a practical session. We have a practical session with Wraggz Murimi, and it's going to be about Composites. So I can see already some of you are online, and we are at United Pictures, aka Evans Ogeto Studio on State House Road, and we are really glad that he could host us. So we already have Michael. Michael is on standby, and we also have our models, and the whole team is here. So without taking much time, I think we want to go straight to what Wraggz has prepared for us. It's going to be 3 parts. Actually, there are going to be 4 parts. And I think the first part is going to take around 10 minutes with a presentation, just an overview about how he does his shooting, concept, and post-production for Composites. Then part 2, he's going to go through some files and working folders from his archives, so that you can see how he layers them, how he puts the sections together in Photoshop. And then we'll go into a short practical shooting session with the models who are here with us. As you can see, we already have a few models. And then we are also going to have the 4th part, where he's going to actually do the compositing in Photoshop. And he's going to share his screen right where he's seated, so that you can see. We have around 2.5 hours. So I hope that we are going to be together on this. And just a few comments about Wraggz. Wraggz specialty is in photography, of course. It's also in lighting and concepts, editing, composites, and photo manipulation. I think the first specialty I had the first time when I met Wraggz was photo manipulation. And for those of you who may not know Wraggz Murimi, he's a professional photographer who has over 5 years in photography business and has traveled the country on assignments on some of the most successful companies in the country doing advertising and documentary production. He has been featured on some corporate websites and magazines. Unusual for an advertising and commercial photographer, he is also a multidisciplinary photographer. Yani ni msemo wa adverts and creative director. Some of his clients in the recent past include Nation Media Group, Kenya Revenue Authority, CFC Stanbic, EABL, Premier League, Safaricom, Keringet, Unga, Mayfair, Huduma Kenya, BSD agencies, Canad, Soko, and very, very many others. We have seen Wraggz work on billboards, newspapers, magazines, everywhere. So, over to you, Mike. I'm sure you can hear us. We're just here with us, so we will let you take it away. You can start with your presentation, and then we'll go to the next section.
Hi guys, how are you? My name is Michael Murimi, and thank you, Steve, for that beautiful introduction. We are sorry we started a bit late, 1 or 2 technical issues, but we're here now, so let's make it fun. And thank you for those who tuned in and those who are still coming. Please come. Feel free to ask as many questions as possible in between. and I'll be monitoring it from my phone, so I'll be able to answer. I can see David is here. Hey, the king, Poshinsky, karibu sana. Yeah, so let's get into it. I think let's load up my presentation. And then Steve can share a screen for us. So, twende kazi. So basically, composites. What are composites? Basically, you're a photographer, you're shooting maybe in studio or shooting outdoor, but you want to combine two different images into a new one. So for example, the one that's there on the screen, the top part is something we did for Mahindra Kenya, and the agency wanted us to be able to shoot a pickup in a situation that looks more hilly, like Kericho or Timau. However, because of constraints of how far this showroom cars can go, this image was actually shot in Thika. And then from there, we then went back and changed the background, which is basically the sky. And then removed all that grass clutter. And then, yeah? You can see? Hold on. Share screen. Window. There we go. Can you guys see? Okay. So basically, as I was saying, the image above was shot in Thika. So we looked for a location which at least could work for us in terms of rugged, it's outdoor, and then also not too much clutter. And then of course changed the background to now suit what the client wanted, which was that hilly landscape. And then of course the guy in the pickup, we added a few elements because of the concept of the ad. However, that ideally was what I was saying. Composite is where you bring in two images and create one, right? Now, moving forward, what are the tips that I would like to give you today in terms of how to create the perfect composite? So one, you always have to be able to know when to match your elements for compositing. For you to make sure at least everything looks like it's working together. So in terms of the tones of how you have done your shot and what you want your end image to be after you've come up, of course, with the concept, the elements then, of course, have to make sense. So for example, here we have the background working together with some other things that we've picked out now in terms of the bridges and whatever, and then the rail track that she's sitting on. Number two is, of course, take your time to research and see what works together. Yeah, I think that for me normally is the key. That's what takes for me a lot of time. What image do I put now to bring my concept to life, even before I start shooting? And then, of course, make sure you pay attention to depth. I think perspective is the one thing that can actually break your composite. So you have to be able to also know what elements work together, what foreground objects, what's the size relation to the back. So for example, the model cannot be smaller than what is at the back column here, right? And then, of course, not always, but it's always advisable to put your model in the middle. That way, the center of focus on your composite is actually your subject and whatever the storyline is. And then, of course, after that, there's something we do, which is color grading, which now then brings everything together, because all these elements, remember, are different images from different sections, right? Pulling forward, these are some of my resources that I normally pull images from. So Google does offer free PNGs and royalty-free images, but you can check. When you narrow down your search, it will be able to give you what is royalty-free and what is for use and what are the restrictions per image. And then FreePic, of course, gives out a lot of free images, PSDs, vectors, and things like that. And then Pixabay, of course, has an array of a lot of images, backgrounds, landscapes, and things like that. And then Unsplash as well has the same, right? Then, how do I start my composites? Normally, I start with a sketch. What is the idea? So also by the time you're getting into studio, you're briefing models. So like the ones who have come today, we've already discussed what it is we want to do. You already have the right wardrobe and whatever it is that is supposed to be wearing. Two, from there you then go and be able to then put together all your elements because you already know more or less what you're trying to do. So you're not guessing as you go, right? So there are also days, yes, I know I've been lazy where I've shot an image but then I'll go again and then do my own things, and takes me another 4 or 5 hours just looking for stuff. Now, this is some of my work. So this is the final image of from the sketch. So this lady was actually shot in studio, and then we added, of course, all the other elements, the background, then the chimpanzees there, and just try to create a nice story around it, right? So Olive was quite nice in terms of how she followed instructions and the pose, and then of course we knew what we're putting everywhere. So again, also how you pose your model makes sense. It's easier to fit in your elements into something that you've already shot for. So your poses, how you position your subject is also key, and then of course it fits into all the other elements. Then we go to another lady we did some time back as well. So this image was actually shot outdoor. So if I can just go, let me show you an example here what I mean. So this image that I was showing you, this is the original image of that, right? So we shot her outdoor somewhere in Roysambu, and then of course then now we did the final edit where we added the cityscape at the back, right? And let me go back to this one. So then this also is something else that we shot somewhere in USIU. So you can see as we had positioned the model, and then of course we knew what we were going to shoot for, edit it into the background. So of course all this clutter was not there. So necessarily composites also allow you to be able to create the backgrounds and settings that you'd like. So there's no limitation, right? So you can actually move your subject and put them anywhere you want, right? There's also other things that we do where we photo manipulate in excess, and actually try and create now movie style kind of pictures, posters, and things like that. So also that's another great use for composites. Then of course here Jane, we shot her in studio, and the idea was also, I got the background image first, discussed with her what the right pose to be, and then where it is that I'm going to place her, which is what we ended up achieving this image. Of course I flipped her so that she could match the bike. It felt better this way. But as you can notice, even the light adjustments and whatever were all following the imitations and highlights of the bike. Then this also is another concept we did for Mahindra. So this image is actually shot inside their warehouse. So we didn't move this car. And then we added, of course, the backgrounds at the back to match the terrain and things like that, and some special effects like the dust and things like that. This was a friend of mine called Isaac, so we shot him in studio as well, and then, of course, doctored the background to now match what we are trying to bring out in terms of, there was our Wakanda phase at this point. So we tried to edit it for that. Yeah, this is Prudence as well, shot in studio, and then we edited all the backgrounds and added that surreal feel. And then this is my friend as well, Dee. So we shot her in an outdoor location and then changed. So some of these things you can actually see on my Instagram. I normally post the entire edit process there, right? Now, that is part one. Let me get to something exciting that I discovered a few months ago. So you see this particular image that we shot here. So this is static. So this is a static composite. Now, the beauty about Photoshop is you're able to then do something crazy where the background could actually be moving. So if I show you one of the images where we shot, which is this with that cityscape, and then we took it to the next level where we animated the background and added a video. So this is actually a live video in Photoshop where you can actually cut out the model and subject and then add a live background and then save it as a MP4 and compress it down to GIFs and shareable content. So it just makes for interesting artifacts in terms of how you want to push out your content. Another interesting one is where is it? You could actually go crazy if you want and do more artsy stuff, right? Like this, where you're able to actually see that you can add anything and doctor the image to actually look and feel as mystic as possible as you want. So that's the beauty about composites. Now, remember the chick I told you about shooting outdoor and then changing it into another different background? This is the original photo of that lady. So you can see the actual final picture was not bad. So we actually shot it as a final, and then in edit we decided let's take it down to the next level. So also a few things here that we tried to complement in terms of trying to create it a bit more mystery. Now, we're done with that, right? So let me give you a walkthrough in terms of, let me just open this elsewhere, make it easier. Here. So this is the one I'm sharing. You've seen it? What do you mean? Oh, hey, so I've just been talking to myself here. Hii technology nakwambia. So I have to cancel again. A window here. So they didn't see everything else I showed. Okay, I'll take you back one step and then we go back to this one. Just hold on. This technology is something. Share screen. Go to window. Composite work. Okay, 2 steps back. So you can see this folder. The folder. Okay. Don't worry, guys. Technology surpasses some of us. So I was trying to show you something that I did. So basically, there was this image of that lady I had shown you before. So I'll show you the original image. Sorry. So this is the original image that we shot, right? Somewhere in Roysambu, and then of course cut it out and got into this particular final image, right? So you can see the backgrounds are all changed and edited and added, and then of course I gave it a dull feel so that it looks like it's more nightish. But also if you look at the original, I shot it like that. I did not overexpose the photo, I actually shot it underexposed for that purpose in mind. So again, you also have to have a plan of how do you want your lighting to behave in your final image. Now another thing we did was also uplift the lights a bit and then make it more night sky, like the city behind there. And a beautiful thing in Photoshop that you can actually do, that I discovered, was you could actually make your images in Composite the way we said, change the backgrounds, and then of course you can add a live video, right? You haven't seen? Hey, I tell you, this life. Let me show you. So I need to open. So I can also open videos in preview. Hold on. No, it can't. Okay, let's discuss those two. So I share that one. Stop. Share. Window. Where's preview? Yeah. Okay. So you can see those ones. All right. So back again. So this is the image that we shot originally in Roysambu, as I told you guys, and then of course I shot specifically with low light and underexposed for the sake of being able to change it into a night shot, right? So that entirely is the final image of that. And then now let me share that thing I was talking about, the videos. I think that will make life easier. Let me go back here. So in Photoshop, you're able to cut out, change the background into either a still one, or as I discovered, there's a timeline feature in Photoshop which allows you to add video and generate what we'd call MP4s and actually compress them into any size that you'd like, right? So that's the idea. And then now you guys can see this particular video. So I'll just walk you through a quick video that I recorded of my screen when I'm doing edits. Steve, you can see this one. It's already there. I think I should be monitoring from here.
Composites and photo manipulation.
We're at the beginning, huh? You found it? What's showing? But it's the same one. Stop. Hold. Here. It's showing now. Models mko standby. Tutaingia shoot sahi 2 minutes. Technical challenges hapa. So this video basically I can run through it quickly and show you my step to step how I edit. So we added in the wings into this shot. So ideally when we shot it, it was not meant for this concept, but again, things change as I said as we go. So this image actually took me like I think 4 years before I decided to start editing it into this. So basically it's a gold splashes that I was adding to just give it more effects there. And then of course kept adding in a few more elements on the wings, make them balance, some few dodge and burns, things like that. And then also another thing you need to also be able to know in composites, once you have your final sketch, it's also important to know how to set your layers. Otherwise, you'll get lost somewhere in between. Let me show you. Where is that thing? So you look at my layers panel, it keeps growing, but I keep grouping. It's there. I've not gone. The screen is shared. The video. It's there. The video is there. Challenge. It's there. I've given you the video. Oh, it's not connected. Okay, let's get into the studio. Let's shoot. And make life easier. Yeah. So where are we? I share screen again. Umeiona? Okay, so what are we discussing? The layers and layering. Sorry guys, apologies. So as you keep going, the other thing you have to also be able to be is very organized into your structure and then label them correctly. So where is that thing? So look at my layer panels. Technology. So basically I keep grouping and labeling, right? So what that does, it allows you to know what is what. So the angel, these are all the files for the angel and all the wings and everything that you want to do. The original file is still available there, and so is the rest. Then at some point, then of course, I saved the screen recording. Then the final image then comes out as you want. So I think at this point, let's just get into a concept that we had come up with and be able to shoot it, and then we see. Right? Where's my name? Where are my people? How about Maliza? Give me a camera to look at. So we'll be able to edit live. So where are my models? Kujeni hapa tu kusalamia wananchi. Kuna wananchi hapo wanataka kuona kazi. So introduce yourselves. Okay, let me do it for you on behalf. So basically guys, one thing I've come to learn over these years of shooting is whenever you're trying to come up with a good concept, it's always important to work with partners, right, so to speak. So one, get a nice studio, whether it's yours or not, you can hire. That is Nini. So Evans is always kind enough to give me space, and another few friends of mine, Brian and the like. Number two, I've also come to learn that when you get professional models, it's easier to pose, easier to get the concept out the way you want, especially for these complicated ones. So like them, I've given them a brief, and for today's particular concept, what we're shooting, I had sketched something earlier. Drawing skills zangu mbiki. So, can you see this? So this particular concept, one can always carry a sketchbook. It's nice. It gives you allowance. So basically what we're going to do is, he is going to behave like a matador. You know what the matador is? And then she's going to be the bull, but now it's a lady. So the ideal of the concept is them playing outdoor, and it's trying to suit her, the same way the matador tries to wear down the bull, right? So it's going to be interesting. So let's sit down and shoot, and then we'll go back to my computer, and then hopefully we can be able to edit step by step. And if you have any questions so far, I think I can answer them now before we start, or I don't know that Steve wants to do it later. So
there are a few comments.
Yes. Talk to me.
Yes.
again, practicing here. We answer questions.
We have Pamshinsky asking, how do you do storyboarding? Do you do it yourself or do you outsource?
Normally, I think I didn't get to introduce myself fully. I have a creative background, so I've experience in advertising, so it's easy for me to come up with this kind of story-like ideas. So when I'm ideating in my head or with a model or with a concept, whenever I'm told I would like us to shoot with you, my advertising skill more or less plays a lot of advantage. However, as again I said, it's always good to work with the right partners. So you could be a photographer, you have retouchers who you can talk to who are very good at Photoshop, give them your end vision goal, and be able to sit down together and come up with a full project. There's no need to sit down and try and do everything yourself, so to speak. So if and when the need be, come up with your project, get the right partners to work with. I am always available. You can ask me, consult with me in terms of if it's me coming up with your art, I will do it with you. You shoot the concept, I will guide you. If it's Ashes Kenya, they're always available for me. They give me any type of model I want. I want an old guy, I want a young guy. So once I come up with a plan, I then engage the right partners. And those people are the ones who have helped me do my things. So I've been lucky. Makeup artists, work with the right one. Give them the right brief. Don't also guess. Come up with the right brief. How do you want your makeup to be? Outfits and the like. Yes?
David Wabero was asking, where do we get to source our professional models? Any website or how do you source your professional models?
Okay, for me, I've been lucky. I have a wonderful lady who's running her own business called Ashes Kenya, Wamboi, and she's available anytime on Instagram, Ashes Kenya, and she'll give you the right model. Just give her the right brief, tell her what you want. She's not unfair in terms of her pricing, but at least we support our own. I think that for me has been important for the last few days. There are also models who will approach you on Instagram, so also check, learn to study your profiles when you're being asked for, can you shoot with me? Then see what limitations you can push with them. That's what has worked for me over time. Now I can do whatever I want. Aha, I like it. So, welcome to my studio. Who are we shooting first? So you remember what you said we are going to do? I'm using a 3-light setup. So one light my background, because the image we are going to use is a bit lit. It's daytime. Mount Kilimanjaro, very beautiful. That's where they're going to be. So we're going to move them from here to Mount Kilimanjaro. And I hope we can achieve that before 4:30. So remember what you're supposed to be doing? Yeah. What are we supposed to be doing? So take one step back under that light. There we go. So you don't have to use a high detailed camera unless you're doing something for billboards. But I happen to shoot with the phase 1, so that's what I'm shooting today. So I had already briefed the model in terms of the pose I want. So she's going to be able to do some few nice things here. So that then again it combines with what the gentleman will be doing, and then we bring the 3 images together. So her and him and our background, right? Aya. Are we ready? Aya, give me your second part. Aya, let's go. Pose, turn back, the way we said. Hold on. Challenges of white. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, turn. Perfect. Do it again. One more. Now do it like you're dancing. Do it like you're dancing towards him. No, you know where he's standing. He's standing here. So you're tongoza. Aya, let's go. 1, 2, go. Again. No, you have to be facing back. Your back has to be, because you're like almost turning to him like this. Right? Aya. Turn, face that side and then turn a bit there. 1, 2, turn. Again. Turn, face that side, turn slowly, the way I told you, like this. So like a dance. Yeah? Let's go. 1, 2, go. More fun, like almost broken. I want it to look like you're breaking. You get? Let's go. 1, 2, go down. Let me see if I have my image. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I need more. And have to be looking at him. So, almost like this, up. Let's go. 2, go. Look up at him. Look up at him. Slowly, break, turn. Let's go. 1, 2, turn. Slowly. Now you look at him. Let's go. 1, 2. You're looking at him. Like almost you want to turn and look at that light. Again. I want your legs to move. Try and see. 1, 2, go. Again, and then you're looking at him. Remember, you're looking up at him. Let's go. Again, slowly. All right, I think we have something. We'll make it work with what we have. So, get the gentleman in here. Thank you very much. Ujitoka sana. Oi. Sorry. So she's facing this way. So you are dancing in reverse. I move back. Yes. I go back. In there. Let's go. 1, 2, go again. Now it has to be more. And then so see, she was looking up this way. She was looking up this way, so you have to look down almost. We're going to make you a bit bigger, so then you lift your legs. I go back. Go back. Now I just want you to do it when you're there, like this. If you're now let's try. 1, 2, go. So again, 1, 2, go. Again, 1, 2, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, turn again. 1, 2, slowly to back. Yeah, again. More drama. 1, 2, let's go. When you hold that last pose, you just hold it. Let's go. 1, 2, go. Lift. Again. 1, 2, then lift. Lift. You have to make it look like you're dancing. Yeah. Okay, so I think we have one image. Mama. Chatone kama tulipatanga nini. Focus. It's not bad. So, we start shooting. We start editing, sorry. Thank you, boss. Sit there. Let me download the images, then we can do our thing. So I share Photoshop. I need a bigger spot. Cards out. Na. Are there any more questions you can be answering as we set up here? Ama tuko sawa? And then what we need to go back to? I am trying to be. As we set up. And questions, answer. Sina shida.
I think I want to acknowledge David Wawero. Akisema jambo. We have Twain Rose. We're saying hi, Mike. We have Joanne Jerry. Stephen Maithia, Stevenchi. Paunshiski, of course. We have Purim Saw saying she's watching. I want to believe it's a she. Aria Maito. Watu watumie majina ya ukweli. Somebody called Aria Maito saying nice one. This is very guideful. There is somebody on Facebook amesema niko front seat, niko fastened, my seat belt, tufikishe Wraggz Murimi. Looking forward to learn. So also someone on Facebook has asked that we share the resources for the modeling agency. So
For the modeling agency?
I guess so.
You can introduce her, she's here. Hata kama hajavaa vizuri, unajua anakuanga anapenda kuvaa suti. Taenda hivyo kwa TV. Nilikwambianga always be Lindy. We don't joke in this life. I want to share it when it's in Photoshop. We can be answering questions, I think.
Maybe what I can do, just to mention, right now we are going into some Photoshop. Half of the work is shooting and conceptualizing, and half of the work is Photoshop, layers, and a lot of actions in Photoshop. And then Wraggz will also go through some past files.
Yes.
That he has already worked on, that have layers, that have elements. Pengine utatuonyesha pia vile how you Google to look for pictures.
Yes. In fact,
where do you get those wings from?
Wings are on Google.
Yes. And then, if you have any questions, those of you who are following, I'm going to jump into...
Yes. What has happened? Chapter 1. Welcome. Wake up. Here we go. Sasa nikutafuta. Dem. Mbona uko unasmailia boyfriend? Ni wa nani? So I think we can take a few questions. Yeah, I like that one. Hey, your dance is spectacular. Na huku smile wewe. Aya. So let me load this. Let me export this. We do the I think we can
While
do
you're downloading,
variants.
Murage, what are the common uses of composites? Especially what kind of clientele, under what circumstances do they do? Is it to cut costs? Is it to create what never exists as you download the pictures and convert raw? Umeshoot raw, by the way.
Ati do I shoot?
Umeshoot raw.
Nimeshoot raw. Hii inakuaga inapigwa raw. So what I've done, I'll edit most of them in Photoshop. But however, composites are one used in advertising. I see also PAU does it for some of the products. So you can actually create your environments for after you've done your product photography. What do you touch up at the back? You know, do you want that fantastic wheat field, or you want that fantastic waterfall running through your image? Which again also becomes ideally, I don't want to say it's a cheaper way of avoiding going to do a location. However, in some cases, like for example, some of my studio clients, they prefer the fact that we can actually change the backgrounds to a surreal environment. They would engage me based on that. However, of course, again, it comes down to what exactly does the client want overall, right? So that's what the main use is of Composites.
Allow me to, as you download, allow me to
To shout out.
Emmanuel Masaku. I don't know if your name also suggests where you come from, because you told us that you have a studio set up in Machakos and you would want to be taught some lighting techniques. Can you let me know what it would take to kukuja Nairobi kulearn how to do that? I think we'll respond to that. Moshangi James Minor on Facebook, Asante, you're saying it's locked. Leon Pixels Musombi, pia wewe uko pamoja na sisi. Let me see.
So you want me to take you through some work first?
Yes, please go ahead, Wraggz.
Hold on.
Kama umemaliza kudownload,
Ati?
can share your screen and go ahead.
So if I share Photoshop, it will show the whole Photoshop, right? Irrespective of the window I open. If it's not, you tell me. Hold on. Angie. Again. Let's go to this. Okay. We are back. Okay. So let me just open this. Is it showing? It's showing. Okay. So this is one of my latest composite edits that I did. And it was a friend of mine. She gave me a challenge to recreate the La Pieta statue. So as you can see. Eh? What do you mean? I cannot. I live. Next time we're doing this thing on Nini. Google Live. Is that it? Aha. So this is one of the projects I did called La Pieta. So I have then my grading layers here. So let me kill that. And then I have my edits all the way to here. This is the top part smoke. Then I have the main model that we brought in, who she was carrying. So these images are shot differently, just like what we've done now, and then we brought them in. Then of course the few to my doidos there of the flowers and leaves. Things like that. I did not label this file very well, so just because I know what I did where, this was the latest. So if I was to share this with somebody else, who maybe like an agency who wants to be able to also manipulate stuff, I need to be able to be very careful and label every single layer with every single effect that you did, right? That is the other thing that you need to note. Number two, the original image is the background. This is the original image of the first one, right? And then I started bringing in stuff that I want to bring in and hide. So the clouds. Yeah, so the beauty about composites also, if you're very clever with Photoshop and blending in layers, you're able to hide quite a lot of stuff. Let me show you something. So instead of spending time trying to clean out these goalposts and whatever, it was very easy to brighten first and then bring in clouds which hide, and then add more layers to actually do stuff. And then now, I can normally combine that and then I start grading. So I have a few things that I've downloaded off the internet, some I've bought, some are free. So looking for PSD actions for color correction, looking for actions that actually can add stuff like, these are all my brushes. The smoke normally is a brush tool that I bought off Deviant. So if you have a credit card, you're saving some money from every project you make, you can be able to put in your stuff and then see what to do. Now, let me close this so that we can get right into our stuff. So, let me edit this. Is it sharing? Yes, so it's sharing Photoshop. You are confusing me with my age. Yeah? If I click another window, does it share? Let's see. Yes, it's sharing. So this is the image we've just shot of our matador, our main guy. So as you can see, I've not color corrected or done any around with the highlights in the raw file. So I'll just pick it as it is and move into the environment I want to put him. So this is an image I got off Pixabay earlier today. So as you can see, it's not a big file, so it's very small. So there are a few things you can cheat. So my guy, I can decide where I want to put him in relationship to my scene and what I want. And then where's the beautiful lady there? She's here. Same thing, I've not uplifted anything, I just shot as is. So this will be a very quick edit just to show you a highlight of what we're trying to do. Now, those are my two main images. So what I told you earlier was I'm going to put these guys in Mount Kilimanjaro. So you can see it huko nyuma. Simona Kilimanjaro huko nyuma. This beautiful beauty here. So we have ratio 1 and ratio 2. So these images are the same, but I would like her to look like she's more behind. So what I've done, if you notice, is I reduced her from the original file size, which is this one. Right? So she was a bit more ahead than our guy. Let me just make them the same size first. Right? So what I've done is to create that perspective you're talking about, she needs to be at that angle, so that at least there's that connection between the two subjects. So normally I set this first before I do the cutouts. Then close the first distraction and go back to 100%, and then now start doing the work. So what I do normally is with the pen tool, this is a very small file because of where we are. So let me do a quick cutout. There we go. Now it's moving. So everybody can see my pen tool? No, it's working, but it's the table was glass. So I just go around carefully. This normally you should take your time with this pen tool. The other ways of no, it's fine, it work. The other ways of extracting, but me I prefer my own method, which is this one. So there are multiple ways to skin this cat, if you want to say. But for me, I prefer it this way. So I'll just do quickly. I'll not pay too much attention to it. I just want to give you an idea of what the possibilities of composites are. So, now, normally a composite, for me, it takes about maybe 3 to 4 hours depending on the type it is, or if it's a bit more complex, there are even some that take me at least 12 hours, give or take. 2, there are some in the middle of editing, I decide it doesn't look nice that way, so I change it. Then there are some where, if you've seen some of my work on Instagram, I even change the hair. I'll put more ninis, depending on whatever it is. Whichever. If we had time, I would have gone through the earrings, but chatundile too heavy. So ideally, with your composite, the idea is be also as clean in your cuts and use of your pen tool. There are beautiful tutorials online in terms of how to best extract an image in Photoshop and the like, and there are multiple ways of doing it. So once you find the one that is comfortable for you, just stick to it. You'll still achieve the same objective in terms of getting your image extracted from the background. So let's do that. Hey, but let's continue. So I need the shoes. We'll clean up this. So now once you have your image within the pen tool, then right click and make a selection. So normally for me, I normally feather it around 3. So that's normally my default setting for this. And then I mask it. So what I did here is I used the mask tool in Photoshop, because why the mask tool is important in this thing is this. If, for example, I wanted to bring back the dress, I would change my opacity here. I can actually bring back some of it if I want, or I can remove most of it if I don't want. Because also the feather tool has a habit of killing some things, you see, like here. So if I do that, I can edit later and remove and whatever and clean up. Okay, so basically she looks like she's in that set. And then let's go for the gentleman and we'll clean him up. Yep. Yep. So same process again, go back around. This one normally is tedious, but I prefer this one than the other one for the selection tool. There's another one, let me show you. Delete this. There's something which we call, what is it? This quick selection tool does this. I'm able to pick certain areas. Then you just make sure you set your tolerance so that it's able to quickly kill. So there are also other ways of doing it chap chap, especially if you've done your exposure correctly. And there's a clear separation between your model and the background, it will be very easy to pick out. Some days it makes mistakes, but now this one, you can either mask or you can do what I'm doing now, which is just delete if you're nini. But on a normal day, I would not do this. I would just mask it. Yeah. So to save time, tuende kwa kazi hivi. Then now what happens, remember it's still the same edges. So those will clean up. You can remove here. So there are different ways. Now the secret to this thing is to be able to be so that's how I think I want the dance to look. And now at this point is where we decide whether we want the mountain to be fully visible or not. So since it's a beautiful mountain, let's leave part of it, right? What else? Now, Steve was asking a very important question, how we import stuff and images, right? So, what other things did you want? Where's my concept? Do you have any there? Give me tissue. Just hold on, guys. This studio of this is dusty. Allah. Are there any questions so far? We can keep answering. Make our life easier. Do you have any live questions? Let's go back to now the things I would like to do. Let me clean this up a bit. Now forgive me guys, I don't have my here, my Wacom, which makes life easier. So I'll just use a mouse. So quickly you can of course clean up the edges, or at least it looks clean, tidy as possible. And also make sure you don't edge out too much. Now, another secret to composites is the bottom half of the image should be less lit than the top, ideally. That way it creates a little more room for doing certain things like shadows and layering and things like that. Yeah? Let me call Zablon. I'll move your fire. Charger. Where are we? Tuko na maswali as we are continuing with this long, tedious process. And I'm doing this for amateurs. Those pros, wakukata sijui picha na nini, hiyo hatutaki. This is for beginners in Photoshop.
I can see somebody on Facebook who's asking, how do you maintain the quality of your image? Say if you are using an expensive camera.
What is non-expensive camera? I want to know.
Najua hiyo swali vile inakaa.
Let me show you something by example. This image is shot by medium format, but I compressed it a bit so that it can match into my JPEG that I took off the internet. Ideally, this file, by the time we're done, should be about maybe, depending on how many layers we put up onto it, everything here is still at 300 dpi. So when I download pictures, for example, let me just show you something. Oops. Let me share a screen of my Chrome tab window. If I share this, it will share Chrome. Okay, so this is Pixabay. Is it showing Pixabay? Okay, so here, for example, say this is the image that I had searched, African Night. I'm using it for another concept. When you come to Pixabay, you just register. The account is free to register. So when you're downloading, and you can download as many images as you want, here is where you get to choose the file size. So I can choose a very small file size at 92 KB, or I can choose one that is decent enough. So with 4,000, normally their biggest images are about 5,000. It's big enough to even blend well with my images that I normally use for my composites. Two, depending on how much time you have and things like that, you could be able to actually go and get yourself, where was I? Here. And get yourself images that you can pick up from any landscape that you'd like to shoot when you're traveling. So the image can be as big as you want. However, for me, I do this thing for fun, and even the ones that we've done for advertising are normally not so complicated, because with a pretty decent, even the latest D7200, you'll be able to achieve a fantastic image, as long as you know what the three fundamentals of photography are. Between your exposure, your shutter, and your ISO, and things like that. And then, of course, there are people who would actually go out. Like me, there are some images I've used of my own. When I travel and I take landscapes, or I take a particular shot, I know this one will be edited as such, or this I can use it another day for this. So it's always good to keep your library, right? But any type of camera, I think at this stage can actually work. The ones we have today in the market, whether it's the medium format, whether you're looking at full frames, you're looking at entry level, they'll do a pretty decent job in getting you the image you need. So, hapa tuna clean tu ndio image guys smart. Aya. Steve, more questions? Let me go back to my Kabeb here. So also another thing, the beauty of masking is you're also able to always keep correcting easier. You see, like the other one, we've just done the quick selection, I didn't mask. If I had masked, it would have allowed me to keep going back and forth to certain things. So also point to note, that is key. Two, when you're doing the edges, always use a very soft brush if you're a Photoshop user, and have fun with it. Steve? Iko mashuari, tuendelee? Is my screen sharing? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we can see your screen and the lady and Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
I think the last comment we've had, we don't have any additional comments for now, other than the last one that was from Isaiah Ligami on Facebook. He's the one who was asking, how do you maintain the
quality.
image if you're using an expensive, yes.
Okay. Number two, also, do you know when you're importing an image, a raw file image in Photoshop, you can dictate the quality that you want. So your raw file actually has that capability. Now, there's something I want to do here and just show you.
I think there's something you mentioned that when you're traveling, unaendanga hivyo, then you see a good picture somewhere.
Yes.
And you snap it because you may use it one day.
Yes.
Yeah, so that sometimes you may not have to wait to go
To somewhere.
to travel to Isiolo or go to Taita.
Exactly.
You just go back to your archives and pull out
And
a
do
picture.
something. No, I mean, it's always an important thing. I mean, we are photographers, so I always tell guys, don't stick to one genre. I mean, genres are, between wildlife, between portrait, between, doing your fashion. You never know when you'll use an image, right? So collect. If you're on the road, I have so many backgrounds that I use for various things. Even there are some I've used for Masai Mara and made them here and no one knows. The model just knows, this thing is wow, I put you in Mombasa, I put you in whatever. So ideally that is it. So I'm just trying to clean up this dress kidogo to make it look a bit transparent so that the net can show through. So it's like a small trick we use here for, you reduce the opacity of your effect of your brush. I don't know if you can see my whole window now. So in your brush setting tools, there's a place you can reduce the opacity of the brush to be like almost size 10. So it will allow you to create some form of transparency and make the dress look, you can see part of the background because you can see what our dress is. It's like a net. So unaangalia which places normally would be see-through and would pick edits of the background without necessarily distorting too much of the image. Haya. Sasa tumefanya hivyo, huyu jamaa ako hapa. Now the other things we can add here if you wanted to make it look more comical. Let me just give me a second. Let me show you. Okay. Aha. What? Let me show you. There's like a thing I downloaded somewhere earlier. Let me just paste it here, then we see whether it can work. Now remember, this guy was playing around with the red dress. So we can add more things here, like paints. Can make it romantic. So your limitations are only yourself, right? So this will take me time, but we can blend, push it in, put it where it makes sense, make it look like it's part of the same thing. Yeah, our African matador. So you can do whatever you want. Now the beauty about cutting also that guy out is the fact that I can actually add anything I want behind him. Make them look together. So maybe an ad like this can be for crown paints, wakifikiria nini? Color your love. One of those. So basically, that's the touch-up of it. Yeah, so you can keep adding elements as you want, depending on what you wanted to create. But I think ideally we've achieved the main objective. So,
there's a comment.
yes.
I can see Nyadimo is saying you can mask after quicks
Yes.
selecting by clicking the mask tool on the layers tab.
Yes.
And in the newer Photoshop versions, the quick mask tool is quite advanced.
Yes.
Great session, very informative.
Well, that's why I said.
And then Kevin Kigan is saying learning mode. Unaweza endelea.
No, that's why I said earlier, for him, I ignored that part of masking, but normally all my composites, I have to always mask the main subject, so that at least I'm able to control a lot of other features, right? So I think at this stage I'll take as many Q&As because this will take me another like 10, 15 hours. Now, also the other things you can keep adding here, you can play around with your color and highlight, masks. Steve, do you have any more questions? Oh, no one is new. Okay, so what I did is let me start again. So this is model. Okay, so we can't share the whole screen. Girl model. Okay, so I'm just labeling my nini so that I can figure my way out here. Yeah. So what I've done, I've taken the male model, I've duplicated him, and then I have increased the curves adjustment layer just to brighten him up at the top there. And then I've masked him out completely and then decided to only highlight where I want. So I'm also trying to play around with how I want my lighting to behave. Now this might be the wrong background image, but we can make it work. Same with the girl, so the light will have to be coming from this side so that it imitates him from the top here. So I'll take the girl and do the same thing. And I'll just convert it to a smart object first. Remember, all these layers can be sub-deleted. Yes. Then I do the same thing. Right? Furthermore, at the bottom here, we can add shadows if you want to create shadows. So normally just set your artwork. Imagine it as if it was a real picture and you're in that real scenario. What are the elements that will be behaving here? Right? Then you add kidogo. We normally blur a bit. So yes, I think that's it for now. Now, of course, there are a lot of other things have happened from here, but we can keep adding and moving. We can search. Let me just search for. Oops. So from Google, you can pick in now other elements that you want to add. Like I normally add like 2 birds just to make it look more colorful and stuff like that. And you can create your story as you go. I mean, I think for me, creativity in these composites, it depends on you, unless you have a client brief that is strict. For my own personal ones, I normally, once I get the base story that I want to share, I go going. Yeah. So even today, by evening, maybe this image might even be in Diani. There might be an ocean at the back there. You know, you never know. So you add your stuff and also try and keep it as realistic as possible. Just small elements to keep it going. Right? I can also decide at some point, so this is Bluebird. This is the orange one. So you can decide to keep going and adding things as you go. For example, let me show you one of my brush tools that has, it's cloud, but it behaves like, you can change its opacity and make it look like smoke and stuff like that. So you just have to look for the right one that works for you. Don't be in a hurry. Composites are for fun. You enjoy as you go. And there's nothing wrong, because we're in a digital age, so where we can change things. The newer Photoshops and stuff are normally quite cool. But I'm still stuck on some, yeah?
Just want to ask, since we are getting into the last section.
Yes.
Those of you who are on YouTube and Facebook,
I think I'll do a Q&A.
If you have a question, if you have a comment, please give it now, so that Wraggz can have time to respond. Sami Andre amesema say hi to Wraggz. Great work as always.
Nani wewe? Andre. Ah, Sami. How are you?
Yes.
Amekuwa miaka mingi, amekuwa wapi wewe? He has been hiding. I think let's do the last Q&A. I mean, there are so many things that you can do. I'm just trying to show you what elements you can add into this thing. You can pick to Nyoni somewhere. Let me look for some Tonyoni. I'm putting some Tonyoni, just relax, we got it. Photoshop. So all these images I'm actually pulling off Google, so I'm not even checking the thing imaging. But ideally, remember
Did you say something about how you handle the colors, tone of the whole picture?
That's a whole new level of grading. However, me as a rule, I don't shoot warm. None of my images ever. I don't shoot warm. I would rather add the warmth later in post. So I normally shoot my images daylight, which is very cool, which allows me to at least get my colors as close to how I feel. I have a particular style of how I like my colors to look. So at some point, we'll get into things where I now start to, for example, saturate the overall image. So there are even days I do this. I go into, I don't think you'll see it. Huh? Let me just see whether it will work here. Is it showing you? No. I can't share the raw screen, can I? Let me see. Hold on, guys, 1 minute. So I stop this one, I share again, I look at window, and then camera raw. There we go. So you can see my raw folder. So what I've done is I've duplicated the entire image, right? Once I'm done with all my elements, the things I need to put in, and then I go back to my raw filter. My raw filter can actually allow me to do a lot of things for myself and actually add, like play around with the tones there. I can deepen the contrast if I want. I can also saturate a bit if I want, right? So you can actually keep toning as you go, right? So the rules are, I think, up to you. What style do you want to create? There's one guy who told me once, the late James Quest, told me, creativity in photography is up to you. It's not dictated by what people know or the technical part. So I think learn based on the needs of what you want to achieve, right? And all these things are there. Like now, for example, if I play around with the exposure, you see I'm playing around for the whole image. And this is something I can be able to do that. Go back to my Photoshop file, it will do that for me. Let me take you guys back to Photoshop, hold on. Photoshop. And now that that is done, see the difference between the two images, the original layers that were there and this. So normally I could even come back here, mask it, and then go to my brush and try and create just one element of that part that I wanted to be affected with that. So you can keep grading as you go and changing every element, even the lady alone. I make a purple, then I go back. I can make a darker now if I want and go back. So there's no limitation. Every workflow is based on your understanding also one of software. So in my trainings, I rarely avoid the technical stuff. If you notice, I'm just going into the quick basics. Technical comes down to you now as a photographer. Because if I start telling you about, oh, I'll get to a point where I'll stop, I'll go to frequency separation, I don't know, I'll do what, I'll confuse a lot of you. And for me, I think it's about you creating. So one, does these two perspectives work, as you were saying? 3, do they look like they're actually looking at each other? 4, have we achieved what we wanted to achieve based on the earlier sketch that I showed you guys for the Maltado, you know? So I think once those pieces come together, the rest go to something else. 2, there are places where you can actually be able to shoot your concept like this and then tell somebody like Michael or like in Alliance who are fantastic at editing to actually sit and do for you the work. Like in a Chrome, Aloys also do that. So you can partner. I think for me, the catch comes back down to partnering. But ideally, I just want to show you guys, it is possible to actually create a story from images that were shot differently in the studio, right? If I show you my latest project that I'm now trying to put together is this one, which I shot in studio and I think I shared on Instagram. So I've just started, right? A few hours ago, but I didn't go to it. So I'm still working on how it's going to work. But the idea was, how does the two elements work in terms of she's trying to celebrate her culture. And you know, these cows are pretty big. So if I show you the idea of it, it's based on that. You see the ratio of that guy's height. So he's the one who I'm using to try and balance as much as possible. But because she's a bit forward, her head can be slightly bigger than his. But those two ratios have to work together. So after that, now I start cleaning up my image. So there are things that you can do as you go. However, I think the idea here is Is it easy to create an image like this? Yes, it is. Is it something that you can do on your own? Yes and no, but ideally all these tools and whatever you can learn online. I mean, I've learned how to use the pen tool online. I've learned how to frequency separate online. There are tools that you'll buy for yourself. So I think the possibilities are endless, and especially now in this day and age where Photoshop is available online, you pay a small license and you can use it.
We have Alois Iteba, Kromez saying, one of the few guys I looked up to when I started out my compositing journey is you. And Hapo Sawa Sensei, amazing session.
Thank you, thank you. Sorry for the earlier technicalities that we had. Tulikuwa na mavitu hapa tumepanga lakini
alipotea.
Hali ya life inaendanga hivyo lakini tuko sawa. Tuko sawa.
Yeah. Then we have Mayumi May on YouTube who's saying enjoying the session. It is quite insightful. Chris Njoka is saying great session, Wraggz. Would like to see or learn how you did the video and image composite example you showed earlier. How did you do the video? And maybe just run us through the pictures that you had last time. There was that set of images, Wraggz. You can share and just as we get
the earlier ones.
Wrap up.
The first ones when you started.
You had a set of images like your portfolio, the ones with the layers.
Oh, the first ones?
Yes, yes. Sir.
Which ones? The ones with the layers?
A batch of pictures, yes, yes.
With the layers?
Yes, the ones with the... Or I think the videos actually. You can run the two videos.
Let's try and do that.
Remember to share the screen of the two videos.
Let me look for a video. We'll do it here. Live. So let me share this screen so that guys can also see. So let me go Photoshop. Let me share for you guys e-screen to go up aside. Now, let me take you to Pixabay. Now, Pixabay allows you to also download free videos. So you click and change the link up here for videos, right? And then now you choose. So for example, we can say, let's just look for time lapse. Time lapse. So now you look at it. Sorry. We look for an image that will work with what we're trying to do. So let's assume we pick even this one, for example. Yeah, bad example, but yeah. So I go to the free download, it will ask me what format I want, and I can do that. For the sake of not crashing this machine, or rather this internet, my machine is, I think is able to take it. So I'll download that MP4. Then I go to my Photoshop file. So for Photoshop, there's a feature here. Wait, sorry. I forgot to reshare. Steve leo umenifundisha vitu mingi. Ni mtu wa power. Ding! Are we in Photoshop? Is it showing now? Okay. So there's my window down here called timeline. So that one normally you find it under the Windows menu. There's a selection panel there called timeline. So in timeline, you can click and create a new timeline video. So what it does, let me just change this thing. Now, timeline, so timeline picks all your layers, all, right? Meaning I can animate them differently if I wanted. However, for the purpose of this demonstration, let me cluster. So when you group, whatever you do up here in your main Photoshop window, it does it on timeline. So can anybody see my timeline? You can see my mouse moving there? Yes. So on timeline, I go, on your Photoshop layer, you import a video. Go to File, Photoshop, import video frame to layers, right? That is in your main Photoshop menu. I think you can't see it on my screen here. It's not sharing the whole screen, but you import video frames. So what it does, it will bring in the entire video from beginning to the end, or you can select a range. It depends what you want to do. So for this case, I'll just say import the whole thing. So it has brought. So now it's bringing all the video layers. So when it brings the video layers, let's cluster them. Hey. Sorry. It has misbehaved. Come on. Hold on. Let me just do another thing here that we normally do quick. Downloads. River.
So why again are you bringing a video to Photoshop?
Why am I doing what? Bringing a video to Photoshop? Because
Yes.
we can. I want to make my thing exciting.
Okay, like a still and video-ish kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm a GIF.
Like a GIF or whatever. So what I've done, I've gone to Nini and dragged the video straight so that it gives me one layer. I didn't want to have, it brought me like almost 1,000 files because of the frames. So ideally, this is a bad example, but let's assume I can even mask it. I can actually mask my video to where I want. So I can do this up in Photoshop. Can everybody see? And then I mask. But the video will still play. Then wacha tucheze na kamask kidogo. Tushukishe chini mpaka hapa. Mask imemaskiwa. Now, on your timeline, if you press the play button, it will actually, you'll see the sky moving. Can you guys see the sky moving? Sorry, let me zoom in.
Even the reflection of the water.
See everything, the water, everything is there. So I can mask and play with it here, maybe and add grass, make it look like there is Nini. So ideally, that's what timeline is for in Photoshop, right? So bad example, but ideally, I think it explains how I did the other pictures with the videos. Any more questions? Then now you can output.
Saying as we wind up, you can play the screen recording from Photoshop.
Oh, the one we did before?
Yes, the two videos with the screen recordings of how you worked on the. Just as we wrap up.
I see.
Kama
guys.
kuna maswali, those who are following.
Guys, maswali tafadhali.
We're heading to the last few minutes of this session. So, kama kuna maswali and comments, they are welcome.
And I hope I've done my best. Na watu wako na nini? Am I allowed to announce my nini? Am I allowed to sell my training program?
Yes, go ahead and tell us
Where are
about
we?
it.
Okay. So let me share. So they want to see the one with the cityscape? Let me share the one with the cityscape first.
Yes.
Share screen, window. Here we go. So this one is one I had shown earlier. I think for those who are not here, where we changed. So this one has a video as well at the background. And you can put multiple videos. This image was shot in Roysambu, as I said. And we were able to change the image after doing a cutout and trying to balance things, and then add a moving background of the city. Then let me show you another one of the same trick, so that you can see the possibilities of one image multiplying. Then there's something we tried, but I didn't finish grading. Where is it? Alas. Mnaona? So if this one, we added waterfalls. Same thing, download pictures from whatever and do. Then you can also add a color mask layer on top to do your grading and whatever if you want, right? So the possibilities are endless in Photoshop. 2, you can reduce your video, you can do time lapses, you can do real videos of things that you shot, and you actually merge. Another one is the, let's open. Composites. So I'll show you the one that we did step by step. Is it working? No. Stop. Share. Window. There we go. So I don't know that you guys have seen this. So this particular one is just a quick, like a step-by-step guide of how I made Z Angel. So a few things that we added from Photoshop. downloaded some of these lens glares so they can actually fit. So you just to add that sparkle into the wings. You know, a beautiful angel always has some to sparkle. Na unatoa zingine unaeka, una copy. Then of course changes, editing, adding the wings here and there, and then coming up with the final image. Haya. Next one, let me share my Photoshop. Let me see if I have, sorry, edited. Ding, 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 ding. Let me just take you through a layer by layer file that we did. Here's that thing here. I want to open it, I share. Shortly. Because I gonna. Wait.
Kuna watu wana
yeah, there. This one is a good.
Kuna watu wana join late huku.
Nani join late?
Wanauliza maswali ilikuwa
ulizwa.
Where do you download images that you use for your composite?
Oh.
Kelly, more trends. That's Kelly asking.
Kelly, I think I can repeat back. I can go backwards and repeat. 2021 photo shoot. Murimi. Okay, let me show you another cutout. Wrong one. Okay. There's another one. Okay. Let me open this one. Let me share the screen. So I think we can go back to the Nini. So this is another similar one that we did. So 2 models again, and then usual again cutout process, cleaned up the edges later, and then started picking the backgrounds that I thought could work for them, right? Trying to find balance, So this is just a sample edit. The final one of this ended up with 2 of her fighting. So that's, some of it is on Instagram. So do you want me to take them guys back to, there was a question, where I get my images?
Yes.
Okay.
Where you get the images to use for composites as we wrap up.
Okay, so you have free pick, which you can Google, you can search, any of the images. In fact, let me just share my screen and show you guys. Which one? Okay, so are we on screen? So one, it's this Pixabay. Pixabay.com is quite good. You can search free stock images. There is Unsplash, which you actually can search. Very nice free images as well, right? And there are multiple sites. This one's all you do is just join for free. There is no Nini, but there is some that have commercial restriction and license, so you have to check. And then there is freepick.com, which if you have an account, you can download endlessly. If you don't, you'll only have a limit of, I think, 5 images a day, but you can basically search for anything, right? All free, premium. Premium is what you pay for. You have vectors, photos, PSDs as well, and icons. So there are some things that you might need, like say a PSD, and you say you want sparkles, then it will be able to bring you all of them, and once you click, downloading it is quick, and you can actually use those effects for other things. So some of these even already have inbuilt actions, things like that. Pixabay, again, as I said, you're able to take images, vectors, illustrations, videos, music, anything that you need from here, right? So you can search a music tone and actually use it for your stuff. So even for videographers, it's quite good. Like my video editor normally uses some of these things for skylines, sunsets, and things like that. Right? So, maswali za mwisho tukijua.
Tell us about your training program.
My training program. So, I want to do an exclusive, hands-on program in terms of, first of all, how to think, shoot, and to edit, right? I'm just trying to take photographers to the next level. So, for me, I just want to tap into your creative selves. I think we're all creatives in our own right. You already have taken the first step and taken your camera. So, starting October, I am working on a program that is going to help specifically photographers who are interested in taking their photography to the next level. Photoshop, lighting, shooting, but most importantly, thinking and conceptualizing ideas so that at least you can be able to stand out. I've been lucky to combine my design skill and photography. So for me now it's about passing on this talent and skill and things that I've learned over the years to others. I will also be giving out a personal call out to certain people who I think we can partner with and can help us achieve different things. So yes, once that is all finalized in October, we will definitely be launching a special masterclass. It's going to be an intense 3-week program. So keep it here.
Okay.
Q&A. Question with
Hakuna
answer.
maswali ingine.
Leave you.
I think
Omelala.
watu wamefurahi.
Omelala.
Hata the person who has a question about the websites. Alia Otana amefurahi that you took the time to go back.
Okay.
So unless you have any closing remarks.
I think for me, it's thank you for the opportunity. And I think there's a new wave going on in Kenya today where people are actually now coming out more with skills and learning. But I think the biggest challenge that we have, and I'll keep saying it, guys, we need to learn how to collaborate. We need to work together. There's nothing wrong with calling me out for an idea. Buy me a soda, haina shida. But we shoot together. You want me to expose you to my network of friends? Do it, but also you have to be willing to bring it to the table, right? If you want to grow, you need to learn how to partner. If you want to grow, you need to know how to ask the right questions. If you want to grow, keep looking for this information, right? And it's everywhere. It's available online. Test, try. If it fails, it's okay. There are things that I cannot even share with you guys here. I have done from when I started, because for me, I don't think they're up to par. If I post them, I'm sure some guys will say they're good. However, you have to keep constantly redefining yourself. And I think that for me is the most important thing, right? So be part of it. Get in touch with Park. Register if you're not registered there. I mean, they have access to all of us. If you want to interact well. And then also stay safe. There's a big problem with guys being stolen gear in this town. So another thing, kuwa na kamaringo kidogo. Ask the right questions. If you don't trust the client, come to a studio setup, right? Where you will be able to achieve your stuff. So me, there are jobs I refuse because I think it doesn't make sense, right? And then God for us all. Let's keep pushing ourselves up to the next level. So thank you very much. I hope you've learned. My Instagram page is Wraggz, WRAGGZ. You catch me there. On Facebook is Shot by Wraggz. So any questions you have, you can drop them in my inbox. I normally respond to my DMs. I'm not a bad person. And then also follow Ashes Kenya. Those guys are quite good. They have models, like 500 of them. Whatever you want. Old men, young women, babies, girls, beauties, what? Wako up. Sawa. And then collaborate. There's a new guy I found the other day, Peter Buat. He's a fantastic fashion designer. So there's something coming out soon that we're working on. Yeah. So keep it here, engaged, and let's go. Cool.
Okay. So sawa, asante sana for all those who've been following. Thank you, Wraggz, for taking your time and coming to the studio. We also want to appreciate Evan Sogeto.
Yes.
Evan Sogeto tuko kwa studio yake aka United Pictures here at 209 State House Road. So thank you very much. Aria Maito. Tulisema watu watumie the real names. These people now. Alois, Paushinsky, Mayumi, Sami Andre,
Kwanza Pau Osmia collabo.
Yeah.
Pau Lapstaki.
David Waweru.
Pau Osmia collabo.
We had Puremso. Kule Facebook naona Othana, Kelly, Isaiah Ligami, and many others. So we are going to have a discussion in the evening. You can join via Zoom. These are the ones we have been advising you to join on YouTube and Facebook. But for the evening discussion about how to price your work, feel free to join us on the Zoom link that we will share from 8:30. Asanteni sana. Before I go, let me just highlight tomorrow. Very, very closely related to what Wraggz has been talking about. Stevenchi will be talking about artistic concepts in photography, but he'll go into the side of storyboarding and how you prepare. Wraggz has talked about collaboration, how you work with teams and all that. And then in the after lunch, we'll have Rico, Eric Warwe from Nakuru, who will be talking about how to leverage your video content, short video content, which you have just seen now. I mean, Wraggz was doing his time lapse on how he edits. So Rico will be talking about how to leverage on short video content for your photography work.
Yes.
Asanteni sana, and God bless you. See you later.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Tumezima.